Hi, I'm Brad DeRoche, and welcome to my course on sight reading. This is lesson number 8 today. Hopefully you've been sticking with me so far, and you've really started to learn the notes on the fingerboard, maybe better than you had learned them before. Maybe you filled in a few gaps and solidified your knowledge of where the notes are on the fingerboard. All right, hopefully you have done that and it's helped some. In today's lesson, we're going to spend a little bit of time exploring some new ways of thinking about the notes on the guitar that I didn't cover in the first couple of sessions. So today it's unisons and octaves. All right, let's dig right in. Unisons on the guitar, according to this sheet that I've used so far, are easy to see if you look diagonally across the page. So let me show you what I mean. If we were to look at the notes on the first string, low register, the notes are E, F, G right here. And then as I move diagonally across the page, from the first string to the second string middle register, we have the same notes. So E, F, G here become E, F, G here, become E, F, G here, E, F, G here. Does that make sense? So if you read diagonally across the page, first string, low register, the notes on the second string middle register are unisons. They are the same notes written in the exact same way, same pitch. They are not octaves, they are unisons. So let's practice doing these. This is now going through the notes in each register diagonally. So let's start with the low register of the first string, and it gives us the notes E, F, G. The frets were 0, 1, and 3. Then we're going to play the second string middle register, and those notes are E, F, G also. So we have E, F, G here, E, F, G here. And the frets are 5, 6, and 8 on the second string. Then if we carry on to that using that same procedure, you'll see that those same notes occur again on the third string in the high register. E, F, G are on frets 9, 10, and 12. So now we have E, F, G here, E, F, G here, E, F, G here. Low register first string, middle register second string, high register third string, and there's one more. Very high register, E, F, G, fourth string. The frets are 14, 15, and 17. So if you practice doing this a little bit, you will start to see pretty quickly how a composer could think. Let's say if they wrote 3-note little groups using just E, F, G, they have 4 different places that they could put those notes on the guitar, and that's it. There are only those 4 places to read those notes on the guitar. We would need more frets on the lower strings to extend it to be able to get those notes again. So there's 4 places, and that compounds our difficulty with sight reading. I do want to say really quickly that guitarists often kind of get a bad rap for being poor sight readers. And sometimes the case is true that we sometimes are bad at sight reading, but there's a reason for that if we are. And I believe it's because, first off, we don't have really good pedagogy and training in sight reading as many other instruments do. Most band instruments, for instance, and orchestral instruments go through a long series of training where they're constantly reading simple to more difficult in a sort of graded fashion. We often skip that as guitarists. Secondly, as guitarists, we also read tablature, we also read chord charts, and we often improvise without reading notes. So we do a lot of other things too. So our reading in some ways is more complicated because of the multiple types of systems that we use to read. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and blather on about that too much. That's a topic for yet another day. But I just wanted to throw that in there. So let's go back to our unisons idea once more. E, F, G, E, F, G, E, F, G, E, F, G. All of those are the same notes. Yes, they have a different timbre because this E, F, G here, you're playing a very thin string, and it's a very long string because the notes are from here to here. It's a very long string. But if I move to here, this is a fairly short string and it's thicker. So the timbre is a little thicker, heavier. And then when we go to the third string, same thing. It gets a little thicker and heavier because the string is in fact thicker and it's shorter. And then the same thing is true up here on the fourth string. Anyway, the differences in timbre are reasons you may select playing the notes in different spots or to facilitate the playing of a difficult passage or something. But you need to know where those notes are. So what I've done is I played diagonally this group of 3 notes in the first string, low register. Then I played the next string, second string, middle register, same notes, unisons, and carried on throughout. Now what you could do to have a little practice in doing this, you could start out and just do the low register first. E, F, G, as we did, E, F, G, and so on. Then start on the second string, B, C, D, and then do that group in the next register, which is now the third string, B, C, D, then the next register, B, C, D, and the next register, B, C, D. All right, so now you know the 4 different places where you can play those 3 notes on the guitar. And that's it. Once you know them, you got them down, you don't have to look any further. It's the only place you can find them. All right, then we move to the next grouping, G, A, G, A, G, A, G, A, and so on. And you'll notice there's 4 of those. But now, once we get to the 4th string, D, E, F, D, E, F, D, E, F. I've made it down to the 6th string. I only had 3 different places where I could play those notes. So not quite as many. So you can't find them in as many spots. Once we get to the 5th string, A, B, C, A, B, C, there's only 2 places to play those groups of notes. That's it. And finally, the bottom one, E, F, G, there is but 1 place to play those 3 notes on the guitar, and that is the 6th string. All right, so you get the idea. That's starting with the low register. Then you could start with the middle register and do the same thing. A, B, C becomes A, B, C becomes A, B, C. All right, so you have 3 different places you can play those, and you can go all the way across those registers. Then you could start in the high register and do the same thing. You won't have as many places to play these, usually only a couple. D, E, F right there becomes D, E, F here on the 2nd string. And that's all that you have, are 2 different places you can play those. All right, and that's going to be the same with most of these going across on the high register. Then when we get to the very high register, there's only 1 place to play each of those groups of notes. So you don't have to even go any further than that. Okay, so that was our unisons idea on the guitar. There's also one last thing I'll introduce in this video, and that is the idea of octaves. Octaves go across 2 strings and up 2 frets in most cases. So F here, if I want to play 1 octave higher, go across 2 strings and up 2 frets, F up to F. 6th string 1, 4th string 3, F to F. Those are an octave apart. All right. Same is true from the 5th string to the 3rd. 2 strings higher and 2 frets higher gives you an octave. B flat, and so on. Now, when you go between the 4th string and the 2nd string, there's an extra fret in there. So let me move up a fret here. So if I play an E on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, I have to play 5th fret on the 2nd string. These are octaves, and same is true on the 3rd and 1st string. Octaves are up 2 strings and 3 frets higher. Okay, so those are octaves. All right, then there's one other thing that you may consider with octaves, and that is to look at a higher octave from this note here, 6th string to the 4th string to the 1st string. That's another octave beyond that one. Or you could go, these are also octaves. So what I did was here, up 2 strings and 3 frets. We could spend a lot of time playing around with finding different patterns on the guitar. The octaves is one thing that I used to do a lot with the electric guitar. It helped me to think my way around on the fingerboard. I'm just introducing that so you can play around with the idea a little bit of knowing that notes that are an octave apart, if you go up 2 strings and up 2 frets, you will find an octave higher than the lower string note. Or in the case of the 2nd and 3rd strings, you have to go up 3 frets. Anyway, I hope that helps you a little bit to move around the fingerboard, and we'll wrap it up with that today, the idea of unisons and octaves, but play around with those a little bit until you get comfortable with them, and then check in for the next lesson when you're ready. I'll see you there.